This is a tutorial on how to make a survey on Google Forms. So you either need to go to Google Drive or Google Docs and then click on the apps icon and scroll down and find Google Forms. And then you're going to start a new form. And you need to pick a topic for your survey, something that you're interested in, something that you want to find more info about, something that you can make some conclusions on afterwards. You want to start your survey with a few questions, just gathering information on the people that you are surveying, so what their age is, where they live, those kinds of questions, depending on your survey and if it's relevant. You can either ask an open question, so you can make it short answer and they can type in what their response is, or you can make it multiple choice if you want to give them options. You definitely want a couple questions gathering data on your sample, on the people who are completing your survey. Then you also want to make sure you ask a couple of open questions that would have a numerical answer. So things like time, so how much time do you spend on, depending what your topic is, or money, how much money do you spend on, But make sure you're specific with these questions. So make sure you're specific on, is it how much per week, how much per month, on average, how much do you think you spend, or on time you spend, or money you spend. Make sure you give some specifics, so it's not too open-ended of a question. You can also make these kinds of questions multiple choice as well, if you want to pick ranges for how much time or how much money. But yes, please make sure you ask a few numerical questions that will get you an answer, either multiple choice questions or they can be short answer questions. And then you want to have a variety of questions, checklist, ranking, and rating. So I'm going to show you how to add these kinds of questions. So I guess I should show that once you have a question you're happy with, then you click on add question to do another one. And your questions will keep adding on every time you have a question that you like. So how do you add a checkbox question? So this is like multiple choice, but it would be for a question that there are multiple answers to. So it might be a select all that apply kind of question, depending on your topic. So you put your different options in, and because it's a checkbox question, the person answering your survey can select more than one option. So instead of it being a multiple choice question, it is select as many of these options that fit for you. So you want to include at least one checkbox question. You also want to make sure you include a linear scale question. So this would be for questions that you want people to rate on a scale of 1 to 5, or you can make it on a scale of 1 to 10. So questions that need a rating on a scale from 1 to 10. How would you rate? Depending on what your topic is. And then you want to say, is 1 the least, and is 10 the most? Is 1 the worst and 10 the best? So you want to put some parameters on your linear scale. Is 1 never and 10 always? So it just depends on what your question is and what kind of parameters you want on your scale. You also want to have at least one multiple choice grid, and this is going to be what you use for a ranking question. So if you were going to rank a series of options where 1 is going to represent the most important, and 5 is going to be the least important, or maybe it's ranking it from favorite to least favorite, or the best to the worst, whatever kind of ranking you want to do. And then in the rows, you would put your different options: option 1, option 2, option 3, and then your columns is where you're going to rank it first, second, third, etc. Now, you definitely are going to want to preview these questions as you do them to make sure they look like you think they're going to look. So here's how the ranking question works. So let's say I wanted to rank option 2 first. It won't let me pick the same option twice, and that's good for ranking. You want to pick something first, something second, and something third. So you do just want to practice previewing those questions to make sure they're going to work, and then you can just close that tab and go back to your survey. And then you want to do at least one checkbox grid. So this is going to be a different type of rating question. We already had a rating question where we were just rating it on a scale of 1 to 5 or 1 to 10, but there's different types of rating questions. For example, you could do a question that an always, sometimes, never kind of rating system. Or you could do very important, somewhat important, not important at all, or one that's really common is strongly agree, somewhat agree. It could be in the middle, neither agree nor disagree. And then it would be somewhat disagree and strongly disagree. So when you're doing the ranking one, the number of options is going to have to equal the number of ranks. But with a rating question, you can have as many options as you want, and you can have as many ratings as you want. They don't have to match. So if we go to preview this question, it's this eyeball symbol up here at top. Then you can see, okay, your first option you strongly agree with. Maybe option 2 you also strongly agree with. Option 3 you have no preference. Option 4 you strongly disagree. But what's useful is that it's different than the ranking question where you can only have one option in each column. In this kind of question, you can have more than one option in a column. So that's how that works. Close it out to go back to your survey. So yes, you want to have at least 1 or 2 rating questions. So those are the types of questions you want to include. And then when you're done, you want to preview it. Take your survey, so when you go to preview, answer the survey, submit it when you're done, and then when you close that out, you can go back and you'll see you actually have a response, and this is just going to show you how your results are going to look, and that's useful to make sure your survey is set up correctly and your answers are going to come back like you want them to come back. You can play around with the themes, so you can play around with the colors, you can put an image in, so that relates to your topic. There's some that are already here, or you can upload a photo or get a photo from your drive. Okay, so when you're done, we're not going to send it off, but you're going to click send, and we're going to add a collaborator. So you're going to add me as your collaborator. Then I'll be able to take a look at it, and I can make suggestions right on your Google form. So add an editor, add my email address in there, and then I can make suggestions before we send it out.